Good morning and welcome to Blue Valley Christian Church on our live worship here this morning. I hope you all are having a great morning. I hope you remember to set your clocks forward. And if you didn't, that's okay. That is the blessing and joy of online worship. You can watch it live or you can watch it later. And so if you forgot and you are still asleep, you don't miss out. You can watch it later. So, what a joy and a blessing that is for virtual worship. We got to look for the good things here. Good morning, Susie. So, I invite everyone to please share this video. Give it a like, a thumbs up there. Go to our website or our Facebook page and check us out. Learn a little bit more about Blue Valley Christian Church. And our pioneering ministry to worship with and to senior adults living in community, and some of our other outreach and mission projects, and how you can join in with us and help with those. And I say good afternoon to our friends at Silvercrest and Deer Creek who watch the service on Sunday afternoons. We are grateful for that, and hope soon to be back worshiping in person. Again, one day we can get everybody vaccinated. All our folks there are vaccinated, and we just need to get the rest of the community and the rest of the world vaccinated. So welcome. And this morning, our worship is going to be just a little bit different. We are going to be doing a service of lament to recognize the year anniversary of COVID, and some of the losses that we've had, the various different losses we've had the past year, and then look towards the hope for the future. Good morning, Cynthia. Good morning, Jan. I do have a live audience. I think that is wonderful. And so in this service, there will be a part where we can name those that we have lost, whether it was they died from COVID or some other cause of death. And I'll invite you to say those out loud where you are, but I'll also invite you to put them in the comments. And if you'd like to start putting them in the comments, I can say them out loud at that time. But even when we get to that time, you can put them in the comments, and that's just another way of saying the name out loud. So good morning, Veronica. A wave and a shout out to you too. Good to have you with us this morning. So like I said, it's just going to be a service of lament for the year of COVID, and then we will end it with some hope and relighting of candles and looking towards the future. And I give thanks to Reverend Sarah Nay Fisher, who put together this service. And she posted it in a Facebook group for Disciples Clergy and offered it up to any of us that wanted to use it in our worship service, however we might be able to use that. And I appreciate her for that and the work she put into it. And so for the bulk of it, it is her work. I've made some changes and I've adjusted it to relate to our congregation and our situation. So, but the majority of it is Reverend Fisher's work. And so we are grateful and give thanks to her for not only putting all this together, but then for willingly and lovingly sharing it with all. And I'm just especially grateful for it, and with the week I had to have the help with putting together the service for this Sunday was very helpful. So good morning, John. Good to have you with us this morning. So again, I want to remind you to share the video, give it a like, give it a thumbs up or a heart, and we will get started on our worship. Yes, Bart. So, good morning, Lena. Good to have you with us this morning. I don't know if it's raining there for you in Arkansas or you, Susie, in Boston area, but here today it is rainy, and so it's kind of a good day for a service of lament. And so Yeah, it's a good day. I see some names coming through. That is good. Names that we will mention during our service when we get to that time. Um, well, Cynthia, I need to know a little bit more about your Uncle Eddie if he was a Corbin. You have sunshine, Lena, and you too, Susie. I'm jealous. We've had like a week worth of rain, so I'm hopeful that sunshine will happen soon. So, and yes, definitely prayers for Sheila and her long road with her cancer battle. We definitely lift her up. Um, all right. So let's just get started right with our service here this morning. And Pauline and yes, and we will lift all of those up. So we're going to come apart from the chaos a while. We're going to dwell in the presence of God, who is our source of being. And God calls us to renew ourselves and our life's purpose. And we gather with others who are searching. And so let us be in prayer together. And in the Christian tradition, we hold space for lament. Lament is naming our grief out loud, acknowledging it. Lament does not tie grief up with a pretty bow, but recognize that living as a human on earth means that we suffer, that we experience loss, that we experience death. This is so important to our tradition that we have the model of an entire book of the Bible. The Book of Lamentations. It's a collection of poems commemorating the destruction of Jerusalem. The pain and grief are tangible. And here's how the book ends. Joy has left our heart. Our dancing has changed into lamentation. Why do you forget us continually? Why do you abandon us for such a long time? Return us, Lord, to yourself. Please let us return. Give us new days like those long ago, unless you have completely rejected us or have become too angry with us. Does that kind of sound familiar? You know, have there been times in the past year where you wondered, where was God? And why were things happening? Were the times that the uncertainty and sadness seemed to veil any glimpse of hope and resurrection that we might have otherwise noticed? So deep in our darkness that we couldn't see the hope? When it felt like there might be no happy ending, no redemption, no hope? Maybe we knew that hope was out there, but it was far off. It was not close enough to embrace. So today we remember that even in the midst of suffering and pain, God walks with us. Christ knows what it is to suffer. We have never been alone. We are not alone today. We'll not be alone tomorrow. And yet this past year has brought suffering and pain to our families, to our community, to our country, to our world. In the way the ancients, so we too gather together to lament the things we have lost. And we have lost a lot. And while we recognize the privilege that in our congregation, none have died from COVID. We've lost, but not from COVID. But we know that many in our congregation has been touched by someone in their family or a friend, a loved one who has died from COVID. But in our congregation, we've had death where we could not gather. We could not say goodbye. We could not hug. We could not grieve together. We know that during a time of global pandemic, everyone has suffered and everyone has lost. And that just because our suffering may not be what others have experienced, that does not invalidate what we have experienced. So today, we will hold the space to name our grief and to mourn. We will start with the lamenting of the loss of life. We name those we loved who have died. Then we will lament the loss of pain, the loss of touch, the loss of gathering, and then all the other losses that haven't been named. For each area, I will read an introduction, and then there'll be a time to name these things out loud. And we name them out loud by either saying them in your home out loud or typing them in the comments for all to hear there. For this, you can speak them out however you need them, speaking them out at home, typing them, or both. And after a time of silence for remembering and to give folks a chance to type it in the comments, I will extinguish a candle for each area of lament. And if you have candles with you, you can also extinguish them at the same time that I do. And now, let us name our grief and let us be sad together. So the loss of life this past year has been enormous. We mourn over 500,000 people who have died in the U.S. and more than 2.5 million people worldwide due to COVID. We mourn those who have died from other causes, but for whom we've not been able to grieve and hold funerals. And our suffering lingers. We name those who have died this last year, both from COVID and from other causes. And now you may put those in the comments or say them out loud at home. For BJ, for Bart, for Martha Krabs, for Eddie Corbin, for Pauline Smith, for Karen Blewett, for Mike Taylor, for Geraldine Blewett, for Harold Drennan, Etta and Kenneth McKenzie, we lift up those who have died this year, who took a little piece of somebody's heart with them. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. In the past year, many of our hopes and our plans did not come to fruition. Trips, birthdays, holiday celebrations, conferences, even small casual get-togethers with loved ones did not happen. So many events this last year were canceled, postponed, or done so differently we barely recognize them. We lament those things that we have missed out on now. You may say those things in your home, type them in the comments. The gathering with the whole family, the whole extended family. The 16th birthday that didn't get to have a big party. The sporting events the grandkids' events that we didn't get to go to, for the people losing their jobs that didn't get to go to work each day. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayers. The book clubs, the events we could not attend, grad school graduation, and all the others that missed their graduation. For so many of us, especially those living alone, we have missed the humanity of physical touch. We've missed hugs and handshakes and being in the proximity of other people. We are tired of Zoom. We are tired of screens, tired of 6 feet of separation, tired of not seeing smiles. We are tired of all things virtual that keep us from being physically near one another. And we lament those losses now, as we say them out loud in our homes or type them in the comments. I miss the lunches with friends and the hugs we give each other as we greet and as we leave. The conversations that happen before and after worship, as everybody is going to talk to different ones and find out how their week was. Yes, the hugs. We miss the hugs the most. The hugs that humans so need. Studies show that babies develop differently when they have hugs, and those that don't have that physical touch and that hugs. We need those. We miss those. And there are other types of losses that we have experienced that have not neatly fit into any of these categories, but they weigh heavily on our hearts and our minds. We've had to relearn how to live in the world several times, often unsure of what is safe and what isn't. And that has taken a toll. We've limited and we've been limited. For all the other sadness and suffering we have felt, we lament now. Missing the crowds of people. Missing things we never realized that we would miss, that we never realized their importance to us. Missing the normalcy of a schedule, of children in school and activities. of getting dressed and leaving the house to go to work each day. The loss of some control over our lives or our finances. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. We're going to listen to a song and kind of reflect on the past year and look forward to the hope. Because then as we prepare for communion, we will look to that hope as we relight our candles. But let's listen and sing along at home, for it is well with my soul.
Trials should come, let this blessed assurance control that Christ has regarded my helpless estate and hath shed his own blood for my soul. The clouds be rolled back like a scroll. The trump shall resound, and the Lord shall descend. Even so, it is well with my soul. It is
As we prepare for communion, I invite you to have whatever elements you might have that you're eating or drinking. But if not, do what I am doing, which will be a virtual communion. I will just be reflecting on what communion means to me. 1 year ago, we began gathering virtually for the very first time. We didn't yet know how long it would be, and I quickly set up a Facebook Live for worship, thinking it would only last a few weeks. We hoped we would get together for Easter, and then we hoped for this Easter, and then we thought whenever we're back together, it would be an Easter-like celebration. And it will. We could never have imagined that it would have been so long. We have had 58 virtual worships. That includes 5 daily worships during Holy Week last year. And in this past year, we have grown and changed. We have experienced the grace of God in ways that we could not even imagine 1 year ago. I want you to think back to where you were a year ago during that first virtual service. What would you tell that person of a year ago? How have you experienced the grace of God in ways you could never imagine then? So today, even as we hold space for lament, we remember that the God who was with the authors of Lamentations and the God who was with us when this church was founded 39 years ago, and the God who was with us 1 year ago, as we didn't know what the future would hold, is with us today, wherever we are. During this past year, on every difficult day and every uncertain night, God was there. During every loss and every ounce of pain, God was there. The God who knows the pain of what it means to be human is with us even now. We are people of the resurrection. And even during this season of Lent, we celebrate each Sunday as a mini Easter, as a way to look forward to the resurrection, even when we can see only a glimpse of it. So today, as we gather once again around a table, around our tables at home, around our virtual table, as we gather with wine and juice and coffee and water and tea, with bread and cookies and crackers and cinnamon rolls, we gather as people of hope. People of hope. Hope in vaccinations. Hope in meeting together again. And in faith that God who is with us will never forsake us. This is the table of Christ, and all are welcome. Reflect and remember as you partake of communion. Ephesians 3:16 through 21 says, I pray that God, out of the riches of divine glory, will strengthen you inwardly with the power through the working of the Spirit. May Christ dwell in your hearts through faith, so that you, being rooted and grounded in love, will be able to grasp fully the breadth and length, height and depth of Christ's love. And with all God's holy ones, experience this love that surpasses all understanding, so that you may be filled with all fullness of God. To God, whose power now at work in us can do immeasurable more than we ask or imagine. To God be glory in the church and in Christ Jesus through all generations, world without end. Amen. Thank you for joining us this morning or afternoon or whenever you are watching this video. I invite you to continue to share it and comment. Put your laments in the comment. That's the way to say those out loud. Rick, yes, I love that song too. It is well with my soul. It's a good one. One we need quite a bit, I think. So, I hope you all have a wonderful week. And we will be back here next Sunday at 9:30 going live. See you then.